Just go!
We good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, then professional hello again. Yeah, I'm somehow the first run. It will be some classic Tomb Raider stuff. And we're almost not behind, so I'll just start in 3, 2, 1, go. Woo! Alright, this is Tomb Raider 3, a game that I have not played casually, but luckily I have a commentator with me who, as we found out before this run, also hasn't played this game casually.
Well, too bad.
Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Caddy. Yeah, I'm Kaiman, supporting Caddy with co-commentating today. And I guess our knowledge must be very similar since we are aware of the glitchless route. Not glitchless.
Yeah, so here I actually already tried to do the first skip. It's a pretty precise jump that I don't want to overshoot on the right, okay? So since we got on top of the foliage here, I can bypass the entire swamp that is underneath me, and then I will try to clip underneath this, well, without bonking it, hopefully next time. I'll try to clip, actually I will save here just to be sure.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to remind you.
That's okay. Okay, that looks better. Yeah, so that's the first level. Anyways. In this game we start out in India, and you will soon see the one thing that pretty much unites all the classic Tomb Raiders, which are corner bugs. In the classic Tomb Raiders, if you go, I don't want to say out of bounds, but if you clip into collision, the game tries to push you out on top like this, which we obviously can abuse. But you also see Lara has like her left hand angle at a pretty weird angle, ironically. Same again here, so this is what we call a perpetual flare cancel. If you hold the movement key and the flare key while uncrouching, she will be stuck in this animation, which not only looks extremely funny because it looks like she's holding an invisible microphone, but it also gives you basically, the game thinks you're constantly in the flare discarding animation. And in case you don't know, in the classic Tomb Raiders, if you discard a flare, it kind of takes precedence over stumble animation, so this is how we prevent stumbles usually. We discard a flare, but since with this animation we're like kind of constantly discarding flares, we can save the flares and just have it like this. But this stance goes away once you come to a standstill, so that's why now we no longer have it. What is there to say about classic Tomb Raiders? They all use tank controls, so I'm not using a mouse. I am just using tank controls, which also makes turning and precise lineups pretty clunky, but you kind of have to deal with that. What you can also see is that wading through swamps or water is very slow, so we obviously don't want to do too much of that. But in some cases we can't really afford to not do that. You will see me take up my weapons every now and then for no apparent reason. There are actually two reasons for that. On one hand, if you stand still and have weapons out, you turn faster. And if you have weapons out, then you cancel forced camera changes. Like here, for example, there would be a different camera, but since I have the guns out, the camera stays behind Lara, which is much more comfortable to maneuver with. And here there seems to be some unnecessary violence, but trust me, this is all for a good cause. I actually want to make sure that by a certain point, Lara is the only actor on the map. For some shenanigans later on. So that's why I'm killing most of the enemies we encounter here. And now we go into a short diving section. There is a trapdoor in the next tunnel that I want to bypass. It's a pretty precise lineup, so let's see how that goes. First I want to swim 4 times, and then I need to kind of slowly make my way towards this ledge without overshooting it, hopefully. That might have already overshot it. Let's see. Yeah, okay, and that's fine. I'll just do it the normal way. Yeah, you can clip through the trapdoor that way, but I sadly overshot it a bit. Yeah, it's pretty precise. You can also already see in the top right corner, we obviously have our oxygen bar. Should be fine here. Obviously, I spent a bit of time there going for the failed setup, but that's whatever.
Yeah, just in case, don't forget the saves, Caddy.
Thank you, yeah. So, in the classic Tomb Raiders, well, in the first 3 classic Tomb Raiders, you have a save menu that's like a passport that slowly opens and closes. So actually, every time you want to save, it costs like 4 seconds or something. So if you're used to grinding attempts, you obviously want to cut down on the number of saves, because every save costs you some precious seconds. But yeah, for a marathon setting, you obviously also want to make sure that you have a backup to rely on. One thing you also see here is the sprinting mechanic. Tomb Raider 3 was the first one to introduce that, which also brings with it the stamina bar in the top right. The interesting thing about sprinting in this game is that it has a unique mechanic where you can sprint again until your stamina bar is full, which differentiates it from Tomb Raider 4 and 5, where you can sprint whenever you have any stamina, which makes the sequencing in this game a bit different. But generally, sprinting is the fastest way of movement, so we want to do that as much as possible, but there's also a delay to it, and we kind of only can really do it if there is at least a comfy amount of straight path ahead of us. Here I want to bypass this boulder.
Wow, even without swan dive.
Yeah, there is like a pretty easy setup there you can do. Luckily, else, yeah, the swan dive strat there is, I wasn't the best at it, let's say like that. And
yeah,
here we have 2 more monkeys. As I said earlier, I want to get rid of them for reasons. Actually, the reason comes up right here. So you will see me drop a flare here on this specific tile. And then I will lower myself here, making sure to not let go too early, because that drop is obviously lethal. So with that flare still on that tile, if I now go out of bounds, as I said earlier, then other actors other than Lara can interact with triggers, and that flare is on a trigger right now. So right now that flare caused the next room to already have the pool of water filled with, well, water. Otherwise, if we would not have done that and would go into the next room now, we would first have to solve a puzzle to fill that room with water. But that way we can skip that and already make use of the water, because we need the water to activate the lever in that room. You also saw the Shiva statue behind us there come to life. We will not fight that one, but we will fight a total of 2 later on, I think. Yeah, we will encounter 3, but we'll fight 2 after.
I think 2 is right, because correct. 2 swords as well, which we pick up from them.
I wasn't sure whether we also fought another one, but yeah, we just encounter it. We just ignore it. Mm-hmm. Well, we can't ignore it because it will attack us, but we'll try to face tank the damage, basically. Yeah, so this was the pool of water that we filled early with the out of bounds shenanigans. Can you please grab the ledge? Thank you. Also should be said that for some reason I'm playing this with WASD controls, while the vast majority of keyboard players use the arrow keys. Yeah, reasons. So yeah, this is the Shiva statue. That's also kind of a pretty bad spot because I need to get past it. And here you want to be in the middle of the tile to have a pretty easy setup. This should work. Yeah, so you can see the ceiling is coming down, so we're kind of under time pressure here. But more importantly, I want to be in the center of this tile, because then I have a pretty easy setup to do another corner bug here. Just need to side flip twice and then crouch. Crouching is also something that was first introduced in this game. It makes clipping into corners like that a lot easier. In the previous 2 games you had to do some pretty funky jumping in place things to go into most corners, but crouching makes it a lot easier. And again, here was a normal flare cancel, so if you discard a flare just before you would drop from, I think, 2 blocks of height, usually you would stumble, but by discarding the flare you avoid that. And here we can just run into these boulders to get past that gate. Don't get set on fire, please. And then this is the room with the 2 Shiva statues that now will come to life. It can be pretty difficult, but you kind of have a pattern. You basically bait out an attack, hopping back and then forward again for the next attack. You can do that 3 times, then they will step towards you. And now the same thing for this. They should do the attack. That's a bit awkward now with the camera. That's even worse. Okay, it's now freestyle, I guess. One thing that is also really important to mention is we're playing on the Japanese version. Do you remember why that is?
Yeah, I was about to ask if you're actually playing it. That is because on the Japanese version, I think, first of all, enemies, it's basically an easy mode of Tomb Raider.
Exactly.
You take less damage from enemies, and on the other hand, also enemies take more damage from you. So it's basically the way to go for speedruns, because you kill enemies way faster.
Exactly. Like right now we only have the basic dual pistols, and you saw how long it took us to take out these Shiva statues. If we were playing on non-Japanese version, it would take us twice as long. which is obviously very annoying. We will later on get a pretty powerful weapon, the Desert Eagle, and that, like in Japanese version, is just completely overpowered. You one-shot most common enemies, and even bosses, like, just take a few shots, which is obviously very helpful because it saves a lot of time on Japanese. Here I will do a safety save, because this room is very dark, and I'm notoriously bad at finding the levers here, even though I should know by now where they are. Okay, and also you need to kind of, yeah, there we go. We're picking up some keys here, you may have noticed, that was one of them. Also, don't mind this guy here, he's just having his time, I guess. That's the second key. We actually need 3 keys to exit this level. The last one will be underneath the floor here, which will soon go down there. It's another swimming segment. And there's also Shiva statues chasing us, but should be fine. Just have to not waste too much time here. Also in this room underneath, there is a pretty strong water current, so that's why we'll swim at a bit of an angle when I try to cross the room. And as you can see, there are spikes on this wall, that's why the current is pretty lethal. And that's why I will not straight go to the left here, I will first swim forward for a bit. And now I have to swim at this weird angle here. And with these 2 levers activated, the current will disappear. And we can pick up the last key, and then hopefully exit the level. Yeah, so as I said at the start, we're in India right now, but this game actually has a pretty unique thing to itself, where we will go into a total of 5 different locations. The first and the last location are always set. First one is India, last one is Antarctica, but the 3 in between you can actually freely choose how you want to do, like in what order you want to do them. And that was only a thing for this game really, which is pretty interesting because it also plays into the routing. But first we want to get past these piranhas. We'll face a few of them on our way to the next skip.
Just saying, if you would do this in casual, we would be doomed, because you're normally supposed to go here around this level with the quad.
Yeah.
However, we're skipping all of that, and Caddy is probably going to explain why in a moment.
Yeah, so this game has a few interesting vehicles. The quad bikes, luckily or unluckily, depending on how your stance is towards it, we can skip. Yeah, but here we can like kind of ram ourselves into this invisible wall and try to upclip here, and then get a boost here, because when you fall into water you also get a bit of a forward boost, and that clipped us right into the collision there. And as I said earlier, if you go into a collision, the game tries to push you out on top. And now we just have to make our way to the end of this level. This is significantly shorter than the previous level. So Temple Ruins, the level we were in earlier, that's the second longest level. Pretty much all the levels are pretty short. It's just 2 levels that really take 10 minutes each. And we have a total of 19 levels. So you can kind of infer that the other ones can't take that much longer. Here we have a neat setup to go around this corner.
I like how you casually just explained the last thing, and in the meantime just did the setup.
Yeah, at some point things get pretty autopilot-y, but you also shouldn't rely on it too much, because yeah, if you mess it up then you have like no backup. I did heal myself, yes, okay, because then we can just take this drop here, as you can see, pretty nice on health there. And that's the end of this level, which brings us to the last level in India, Caves of Kalia. Here we will fight our first boss. But as we explained earlier, we should have an easier time since we're playing the Japanese version. And then we get to select our first destination after India. So I know you ran this game 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, roughly 4 years, I think.
Do you remember the order of levels you did back then? I assume the second level is still the same, because that should always be the same.
Yeah, the order was quite different. Was the second level the desert one?
Correct.
Ah, okay, yeah. Then that still stayed the same.
That is correct. What am I doing?
What I'm also looking out for is if the boss strat has changed in the meantime. Since we're playing on Japanese, I played it on English back then, and we had...
No worries, no worries.
That was pretty close.
No worries.
These snakes can poison you, therefore it was a little bit...
Yeah, but even if they poison you, luckily there is... You may have seen them a few times already, these green crystals that look like they were ripped out of the Sims games. They actually heal you for 50% and they unpoison you. Yeah, so since we're playing on Japanese, this is actually really straightforward. You just stand here, shoot him until he shoots his fireball. Actually, the fireball can hit you, so I will safety save here.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about, which is now different. You just shoot him with the pistols. In an older strat, we actually went to grab the grenade launcher and killed the guy that way, because that was the faster way than when doing it with the pistols.
Yeah, and there you saw the kind of mission select. So we had 3 options. It's Nevada Desert, it's the South Pacific, or London. And no matter the route, pretty much you will always go for Nevada first, because in the US levels, Lara will lose her inventory, and she will also pick up the Desert Eagle weapon, which, as I said earlier, is like what we really want for a weapon. That's the only thing we really need. So yeah, obviously you don't want to do the other levels first and then lose your inventory afterwards. This way we get rid of that first, and we also get the most powerful weapon. Sirs?
Is this working?
Sorry?
Is this working?
Yeah.
I can hear you. I'm not sure if it's through the loudspeakers or through the headphones. So here we do another corner bug, this time a swimming one, to get us to the top of this one. Okay, a bit awkward. And then we have the first of 2 co-ops, which are pretty much the best known glitch of the classic Tomb Raiders, I want to say. They're very reliant on the geometry, so they all come with their very unique weird setups like this. But what will happen, hopefully, is that Lara will sink into the ground like this. This one is pretty unique because we're kind of doing it backwards. You will see another more classic one later on, where we just move forwards while being halfway into the ground like that. But yeah, basically, once you have to kind of hit the ceiling while Lara is still in an like in a downwards motion-ish. So the game never really considers you having landed, and then you can go into this weird halfway into the ground state. It's a doozy. So yeah, and here you are supposed to again have a vehicle, as you might see soon. But we can also make that jump just fine, without anything else. Now we're in a high security compound. You have these prison guards here, you have the prisoners there. The prisoners will always go for the guards will always go for us. And we can't go for anyone because we no longer have any weapons, which is what I mentioned earlier, is you want to get out of the way early. I will save here because we'll only have 1 shot at this. To bypass having to push more blocks, there's actually a pretty neat setup here. Using this corner, now Lara will disappear. I'm looking for a specific camera angle, and then hopefully clip out at the top.
Wow,
nice.
That is new to me.
Yeah, that saves having to push 2 blocks. Yeah, 2
I
blocks,
think 2 blocks.
Exactly. Yeah, and also later on in this level we will pretty much go into a zombie state, so it doesn't matter how much damage I take until then, so I can just face tank these barbed wires here.
Kelly, I was about to ask whether we actually have pink blood in this version too.
Sure.
So, fun fact, the German version, for example, has been censored. So the blood in that version is not actually red, but pink. And I think this might be the case in the Japanese version here too, but I'm not too sure.
Well, actually, where is the guard? Oh, why is he here? What? Stop. So yeah, we want to lure him to go through this door. I've never seen him on that side. But what we do now is we save here, we load and repeat that. When an enemy is inside a door while the game is loading, it causes a lot of damage to them, and we use that to kill him here, because he has the key card that we need to advance. And as I said earlier, we don't have any weapons right now, so there's no real other fast way to kill him. The other way would be for the guard, the prisoner we freed earlier, for him to kill the guard, but that is reliant on this game's AI, which you usually don't want to. Sadly, we have to rely on the AI later on in this level, pretty soon actually, and that is always a fun time. But with that keycard, we now can go further down this level, soon into the kitchen. First, we have to actually fill this room with water, though, as the air is approaching with something. Thank you.
Can you read it out?
No.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so with that lever, I now fill this room with water, which allows us to go up here. And now we go into the kitchen. You can see my health is pretty low, but that's pretty much irrelevant, because here we will go into the zombie state. I will save here, because once I'm in zombie state, I can no longer open the menu or save or do anything like that. You see this fan kills me, but on the other side there was this health crystal. So since I was not touching the floor while at 0 health, I did not technically die, and I touched the crystal while still in the air, so I'm back at 50%. But the game is kind of waiting for me to complete my game over animation now, which obviously I'm not. But yeah, as a consequence of that, I cannot go into the menu. Here's another setup to hopefully pop out on top, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bit of a risky strat. There are definitely some ways to die for the rest of this level, which I obviously hope to not show off, but we'll see. There is a nice pickup here, but yeah, one of the riskiest parts of this mission, actually probably the most risky part, depends, yeah. This jump here, we want to jump past the lasers. Okay, good. Yeah, not sure if you saw them. They're very thin lasers there. If you trigger them, the turrets start shooting at you. And since we lost pretty much all of our inventory, including our medkits at the start of the mission, yeah, that would pretty much be lethal. We now lure this guard over down this tunnel, because again we need to kill him for the key card. But we don't have any weapons, and we also don't have any useful doors here. But we do have, hopefully, 2 useful prisoners. But as I mentioned earlier, the AI in this game can be very non-helpful. That was actually very good. Well, not very, very good, but that could have gone a lot worse. Yeah, the worst is if they come to like one of these steps, then they will usually just cycle, like repeatedly go up and down, all 3 of them, and just like go in a circle, and it's terrible. But yeah, that was pretty good. But again, as a consequence of neither having weapons nor being able to go into the inventory, I also can't really tell how much health I have right now, and I will take 50% fall damage soon, which is why I will always heal here. So in case you're not familiar with it, in the classic Tomb Raiders, well, also in the later ones, you have 2 sizes of medkits. You have the small one, which heals you for 50, and the large one, which always heals you full. But yeah, I will heal myself. Okay, I was above, actually I was not above 50, so yeah, whatever. This is the drop that I will take 50% from. And now we go swimming again, pretty much to the end of this level. And then once I'm through this level, I will be able to use this menu again and everything, so that's good. It's just until the end of this level, I'm still not able to do that. And then we're actually already going to the last level of the US levels, right? So the US levels are the only ones that only have 3 of them. Every other location has 4 levels. And the last level will be Area 51, of course. So I was actually planning on handing over to you when it comes to like explaining the story, but as we found out earlier, there is no real use to that because neither of us really knows the story.
Yeah.
But like from what I can tell is there are these like so at some point a meteorite crashed into Antarctica and the civilization found the remains of that and became powerful and stuff, and they created these artifacts out of the meteorite fragments, which Lara is now collecting on the behest of some scientist maniac dude that will definitely not turn on her and use the meteorite fragments for himself. But yeah, in this chamber here, we would now not only pick up the large medkit, which is nice, but also the best weapon in the game, the Desert Eagle. So now we're at least armed again, which is actually very good because we need to kill one more guy in the next room, which is at the top of the scaffolding in front of us. So we have to get up there, but knowing the classic Tomb Raiders, we try to do it with a corner bug, if it would work, please. Yeah, you need to have a pretty specific angle. Like, it's not super precise, but can't be too lazy with it. So now it depends where this guy... Okay, that's fine. If he's like on this middle ridge there is also laser going across that ridge. So if he drops the item there, that can be pretty annoying because you take constant damage, so you have to counter heal that as well. But we had some pretty good RNG there. And with the key, this is like the final one. Now we just have to run to the exit, and which is like basically a car park of trucks, where we will go to Area 51 as a unwanted passenger. And then in Area 51, it's our goal to find the meteorite fragment in that area. But of course, Area 51 is heavily guarded. Not like Lara cares about it, apparently. She just makes her way through it. And this is also where we will, at the end, have our second and last co-op glitch of this run. But first we have to get there, collecting some more medkits. We're not really trying to heal too much early on, because later on there will definitely be some instances where we need these medkits. You see also these lasers. If you just run through them while they come towards you, you're in them for a very short amount of time, so they don't hurt too much. But if you sync up your movement direction with them, they can drain you very quickly, so you definitely want to avoid that. Also, this guy would have rung the alarm, which we obviously want to avoid. Then just face tank the turret there. This guy luckily is only a melee guy, so he will also suspiciously not follow us onto this tile, probably because it's like a trapdoor. And now we just make our way into the bottom level, if I could activate this lever. Yes. I'm getting some glances from tech, I'm not sure if... Okay, never mind. Got waved off again. Yeah, so again here at the end of this tunnel I can do a perpetual flare cancel, which is the thing with the weird animation, which saves me having to use flare here to cancel the stumble. And here you see like kind of the optimal way to sequence your sprint and jumps. So sprinting, as said earlier, is the fastest way of movement. Second fastest is jumping. So what you want to do is basically, if possible, because of the level layout, you want to sprint until your stamina bar is empty, and then jump twice, and then by then your stamina should be refilled, and so on. At the end of my sprints, you will sometimes also see me do a forward roll. That's also pretty fast, but yeah, it depends on if I have the room to do that. And now we're approaching the next skip, so we come to this rocket that is obviously located in Area 51. Get rid of that guy, jump over, line up on the left, find the pixel, and then jump, roll, then you flicker, you look for another angle, you turn around, and then you can maybe hear this door opening because of magic reasons that I don't understand, but it works, so we make use of it. And this is where like the lasers can be pretty finicky. If you lose too much time, like getting into this tunnel, then yeah, this cycle can be very bad and you get drained for a lot of health, but luckily that is not the case. So we just make our way further down the level. We will need to kill one more guy to get the CD that opens up the UFO, because it makes sense, I guess. Yeah, so this guy, as you can see, he drops his CD, because that's how alien technology works. And we pull the lever to get access soon to the UFO. And in the UFO, there should be the meteorite fragment. First, though, the promised last co-op. having to line it up starting here. So this always looks a bit like voodoo, but it should bring us into a consistent spot. I'll also save the save here. And then I will pause buffer some inputs. And then I am stuck here. I need to do 2 more pause buffers. Then you can see Lara briefly like skip up. And now next time I jump on a slope, I will go into QWOP. You're in the QWOP state for 10 seconds. And after 10 seconds, you will be like fully go underneath the ground. And we can use that to bypass the last gate here. Right here. So you will see her go on the ground now. There we go. And pop out on the other side. And now we just ran underneath the UFO. And we have the CD. So we can open up the UFO. And then inside the UFO, there's just one more finicky jump we have to do. And then we get to the meteorite fragment. This is what UFO looks like. There is another very helpful corner here that allows us to skip up. Here I should probably also save. This jump can be a bit finicky and this guy can be very shooty. So okay, yeah, that's fine. And that's the meteorite fragment. And after the USA, we now go to South Pacific. Go ahead, Henny. I see you with the microphone.
I have some donations. We have a $5 donation by Sphere. Hello, are donations working? Seems like they are. Then we also have a $10 donation by 7 French Kiss 7. I have a feeling I know who that is.
Yes.
Hello, Caddy. Madame Cavier would be proud of you. Running the 3rd best Tomb Raider after the original in AOD. Have fun, everyone.
That hurts.
And we have $54 by the one, the only Tom Rish, saying just Omega lol, and putting us to $69 total. Nice.
Nice. Yeah, so I don't know, back when you ran, did you also go to South Pacific?
Yeah, I think this was actually the first level that we did.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It means you just clipped off the bridge.
Yeah, so don't worry about that. It will happen again later on. Here we'll actually do a save for 2 reasons. So first of all, if I reload here, in this room the spikes on the other side will disappear, which is very nice. But as long as I don't overwrite that save, I will be able to use it later on. But even if I happen to overwrite it, which I probably will, there is a backup save. So yeah, just keep this save in the back of your mind. We will hopefully make use of it later on. Mm-hmm. And then here, don't save over that save. Good. Here we want to skip to the top of the ledge above us with another voodoo setup. And some pause buffering. Now we're here, and we just need to make this jump.
That looked extremely precise.
That jump is actually pretty, like, it's one of those where if it works out, it looks like super normal, that jump, that final jump there across the, to the house. But if you are slightly too early or too late, you just bonk to the ceiling and fall down and it looks stupid. So yeah, if everything works out, then it looks very unimpressive. But it does require some time. And then we now make our way to the crash site for story reasons that I don't know. But of course in South Pacific we still have some dinosaurs roaming around, as you do. And then, oh, that's not what I wanted. Interesting wall. Yeah, but now this is also messed up, so I need to also do this. Okay. Yeah, and then we're approaching Madubu Gorge, which is pretty infamous because that's where we will do some kayaking. And the reason why we do South Pacific first-ish... Okay, does that work? Okay. So there is kind of a hidden current value, and by current I don't mean current as in now, but current as in a water current value. That keeps updating when you're like above any running water or stuff like that. And by going to Madubu Gorge with like the current route, we will have a specific set of inputs that we can do to always make the kayaking consistent, because the kayaking is very, if you've done the kayaking in Kilometer 3, you know what I mean. It's not exactly user-friendly to most users at least. But yeah, having specific inputs we can do to always bring us to the same ending location is definitely very helpful. It already changed the save slots, good. Want to keep that save from earlier, as I mentioned. Yeah, so that like the button there just opened the hatch that will eventually lead us to the kayak. And then I will have to listen to the splashes Lara makes with a paddle. Also here I must not touch the slope underneath me, or else the current value will change, which is why I'm doing safety save. Yeah, this slope behind me I was not allowed to touch. And there is the kayak, and then we can have the fun start. I'm looking at some inputs here, so...
It's like Caddy has an editor document open right next to the Tomb Raider window, showing him all the inputs. It looks really cool. So I guess Caddy really needs to focus here on putting the right inputs. So I guess I'm gonna stay quiet until he gets through here.
Something went wrong. That's okay, that's why we save. But it looked fine, so the current value should be good. That's unfortunate. Maybe I could have saved that, but yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. I guess saving during the sequence is also making it harder.
I'll safety save here.
Very nice.
And of course, yeah.
You even got the parking location in the setup?
Yes, but I messed up one input, of course. As soon as I said that I saved, there we go, that's better. And then I did double. Should I? You know what? I have the safety save, so I want to be sure that I have the correct.
Yeah, all right. You want to be in the right position so that later on you can do the same sequence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks better.
So this is something that Caddy has told me, that there now is for later on another sequence. I remember back in the days we did the second part on the fly and just improvised. But it seems faster if you now do another optimal setup here.
Yeah, the second part, like we will do another kayaking part later on. That one you can pretty reliably freestyle. But the first one, because you want to end up, like you didn't see it now, but there is a very strong current before that final part that pushes you in the other direction. So you're not supposed to straight go to the location where we parked our kayak, which is why we really need that consistent sequence of inputs there. The second one is not as important. Also good audio. Don't worry, that's part of the game. Did I mess up? But now we also have to make our way back to the kayak, which is a bit spooky.
More voodoo setup?
Yeah, because this is actually a very precise sequence of jumps.
It really is, yeah. This jump is extremely precise to get if you try to do it without any setup.
Okay, that is good. And now we just make our way back to the kayak, and then I basically should have one of two outcomes when I start the sequence, and according to which one I get, I can choose the appropriate follow-up. We'll see. Okay. 10.
11, 12, 17, 18. 2 left.
Why would you know?
2, 3. 1 left. 5 up. Oh, insane. It actually does that. I remember that this was an extremely risky fall in all the runs because you kind of had to be careful not to fall down too steep, because otherwise, yeah, Lara would die. But here, apparently the setup covers it too.
You can get like outcomes where you don't take any damage at all, but even if that would have been the one, I still always heal to full just to be safe, especially during a marathon.
Better safe than sorry.
All right, but so kayaking at least is out of the way, not without hiccups, but it's out of the way. And now we're in the final level of South Pacific, where we get our next meteorite fragment, which will also have a boss fight. But here you will see the power of the Desert Eagle on the Japanese version, even more so. But first we have this trap room that usually also isn't too much of a problem, but during my practice yesterday it was, so I will, just in case, save. Yeah, you can see the spinning blades here. Also, I'm already behind, that's not good. Okay,
yeah, very nice.
And then we just wait for the cycle here. Make our way across. And then down here. And again, the ceiling will come down with spikes, so we have to activate these 3 levers without losing too much time.
Yeah, this window is actually very tight, I think.
Yeah, so you can see sometimes Lara will like hold up her hands when she runs into a wall, which is a bonk pretty much. Like you can avoid that by letting go of forward, like running forwards a bit earlier. But it costs like 1 second, and if you bonk on all 3 of those levers, then you might already get damaged by the ceiling actually. It's very tight. Alright, now boss time. If I could get there. So first we activate him.
That was the one.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, the Desert Eagle in Japanese version is ridiculous.
And in English, you had to like dodge all these
Exactly.
attacks and the thunders, and here you just shoot him 6 times, I think it was, and then.
All right, second to last location.
Oh, this here must be probably the shortest level of the whole run.
Yes.
See what? Huh?
Yeah, there's a different route you can take. I also just learned it recently. But that makes it even shorter, actually. Yeah, so we're in London, in case you couldn't tell. And that was Thames Wharf. It's a very short level.
Insane.
There are like multiple ways how to completely break this level. But yeah, that was like, I think that one is like 20-something seconds. Which definitely compensates for the 2 10-minute level we have. Yeah, now we're in Aldwych, which is basically underground. And this is where the save that I tossed down in the coastal village earlier will hopefully come in handy. Because we will come up to a number of turnstiles that we cannot get past, so they block us, and we don't really want to deactivate them by ourselves. This is where the save will come in handy, because as it turns out, if you load a save, you like for a frame or so keep some properties of the old file you were on. And by going onto a slope on the coastal village save, we hopefully can carry over some of those sliding properties onto this save eventually. But first I have to get there. I also need to get rid of these rats because they can disrupt the setup. Actually, come to me, that's very nice. Sometimes they like stay in the back there and you have to wait for them to kind of like become visible so Lara can shoot them. Then we line up here. And load the coastal village save. Wait until Lara's on the slope. Go back. Now Lara should be sliding in place, and we can slowly turn her. And then she just slides past these, which is very nice, and also like pretty unique glitch in the series. And now we just have to get pretty much to the end of the level. Just one more lever that we will get to with another corner glitch, or corner bug rather. Right down here. The only issue about this one is like the camera can be very awkward because like it's just a one tile space, but we're good. Where is the camera? Oh no. Oh no, no, no. I don't even know if I have the weapon out or not. Ah, there we are. Okay.
Oh.
Of course, yes.
Camera and Lara synced again.
And that was pretty much it for Aldwych. Now we go to Lutz Gate, which has, some might say arguably, some might say not very arguably, the worst vehicle in the entire series. And the underwater propulsion vehicle. It's very rough, but we'll come to that eventually. First we have to get there. And to get there we have to do another pretty precise jump. It's not this one. Also I will save here for safety reasons. Okay, so now we're in barbed wire, don't worry about it. But with this swan dive we can already skip to the second half of the level, which is very nice. And that brings us to the aforementioned UPV, which is cool in concept, that you get like a vehicle underwater, but once you control it, you realize it's not very fun.
And the air meter doesn't disappear.
Exactly, so you also still are restricted by oxygen, but luckily if you actually hug the ceiling, in a place like this, you can hear Lara like breathe, and you can also see the air meter fill up again, so we can actually stay underwater here without having to surface for air for quite a bit longer. Also don't mind the typical crocodile in the London sewage system. They do quite a bit of damage, but luckily when you're on the UPV they cannot harm you at all, which is good. Again, we'll hug the ceiling here for some much needed oxygen. And up we go.
Oh, okay. So this is different than it was in the past. Because in the past there was some sort of a glitch that you can do to prevent Lara from losing.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I guess you're...
That will still come up.
All right, all right.
Oh, okay. Guess we're not picking up that small medkit. Maybe on the return trip, I don't know. But yeah, we will do that glitch later on.
All right.
Okay, stop biting me, please. And by later on, actually, it's right in the next room. But yeah, we first have to activate one more switch. Also need... Actually, technically, I guess I wouldn't need to get some more air here, but yeah.
Yeah,
First
just for safety.
Exactly. And then we dismount here, pull this lever, and then we will basically mount and dismount the UPV at the same time while running it into this wall. That did not work because I did the wrong button presses. That looks better. And now you might realize that actually it's pretty difficult to tell because the blue is also pretty dark, but the air meter does no longer diminish, which is a nice side effect, but that's not the glitch we mainly want to make use of here. Because this glitch has another side effect, the consequence of which you will soon be able to see. But basically we still need to get quite a bit higher up and the water ends here. But luckily with this glitch activated we can now make use of this very interesting property. So yeah, the game kind of those things obviously we're attached to the UPV, and we have the properties of it, so we can now just fly to the end, just go into this tunnel here. And that brings us to the final level of London, which is City, which is kind of a boss fight, but also kind of not. What it is, though, is it's pretty much timed for us if we want to do this strat.
Oh yeah.
This can be pretty finicky. So that's Sophia in the background. We need to get here before she does that.
Very
She
good.
pushes us into the wall. Then we have this nice sequence of jumps here. And the way you defeat her is actually not by shooting at her, but by shooting at this console or whatever it is here. And that instantly kills her, which is pretty cool. So this is also a very short level. And of course she drops the fourth and last meteorite shard. And then we are off to Antarctica. And here I will toss down another save, which is going to be used for the very last skip at the end of the run. And I also should make sure to not overwrite that one. But I will save very soon, because you will see in Antarctica, if you go into the water, not only do you have your air meter in the top right, you also have your freeze meter in the top left, for obvious reasons. However, luckily we can kind of get infinite freeze meter by just saving and reloading, because then it resets. So that is definitely very helpful. I wouldn't even know how to do this with that. Obviously, once your freeze meter is empty, you take health damage. So we don't want that to happen too often. But by taking some health damage, we also can stay in the save for longer before having to save and load. So it's kind of a balancing act. But we're looking to go for a specific corner where we should be able to clip to solid ground again. You can do this without an additional save, but I don't really want to go for that right now. And then hopefully by going into this corner, we'll go into this animation, then we turn around and it should pop out here. And then we do another very interesting thing with the out-of-bounds stuff we had at the start. So I will shoot here. Yeah, he's running. Okay, so I alerted a guy that will now run to the end of the level, and I will do some voodoo magic here to consistently get me out of bound on this corner. And now he will basically run to the level end trigger, and that's how we go into the next level. It doesn't save a huge amount of time, but it's still pretty interesting, and it saves time, so we have to do it. Speaking of, dropping another flare here, very reminiscent of what we did in Temple Ruins at the start of the run. This flare will activate a trigger for us, so now we will go out of bounds here, if I could line it up correctly. That does not look much better, but I could do a double shimmy. Yeah, so you heard a door open, that's actually the one right behind us here, which brings us to this tunnel. And this is already the third to last level, but this is like the longest one in the run. It's above 10 minutes, like 11 minutes something, normally for me at least. So it does take a while, you will soon see why, or one of the reasons why. But yeah, we have to deal with that. The gist of it is now that Lara has all the 4 meteorite fragments she got betrayed by the scientist she collected them for, and he created these abominations we just ran by. Sorry, mutations, not abominations. Have to stay true to lore here. And now obviously we have to stop him and stuff like that, but not too fast because we have these minecart sections here where we don't really do anything. So Henny, take it away.
For sure. So we have 3 more donations. One is from Suri, $50, and it says, "Greetings from Germany." No joke. Then we have $54 from Sphere. That's worth a clap, I think. And Sphere says just, "I want the freezer." And with that, the incentive got met.
There was an incentive. Oh.
And we also have a $5 donation from John Raider. Saying,
no.
John Raider here, nothing to see here, keep on raiding those tubes.
Shout out to John. All right, so that was the first minecart section. There might be another one later on. So these things we can luckily roll through, and now we will slide down on the left side here, because then we will land earlier and take less fall damage. Take out a flare here and try to again land on the right. Yeah, that looks good. Because now we can do a setup here. We basically want to grab the ledge that's just beneath us, and usually you're not supposed to do that, but with a somewhat precise setup here we can do just that. Drop it down, and now we can grab this ledge, which is again one level lower. And that cuts out quite a bit of jumping puzzling. And yeah, so apparently, because I haven't heard before the run whether the incentive was even accepted or not, we will get to lock Lara's trusty butler in the freezer, which is what everyone always did in these games. So glad to see the tradition lives on. But first we have to do a sequence of jumps here. Hopefully that's good. One thing about climbing in this game, these ladders, is there are two different animations. This is the one you get when you're like somewhat in the center of the ladder, and then there's also one for when you're at the very edge. The one at the very edge is faster if you just want to climb up once, like one of these steps. Did I get it? Oh, okay. Yeah, this one is faster if you have to climb for more than one step. So you want to be close to the edge, so you don't have to shimmy over as much, but you don't want to be too close where you get the other animation. Also, you obviously don't want to get cut in half by these steps. And we're basically right now just collecting materials or key items that allow us to get to the end of the level. But as said, it is a very long level, comparatively at least. Okay, ignore this guy. And now we're back where we left our minecart, but we're not gonna use it. There's the minecart. We will definitely use the health crystal. But what we want to do is get back to this ledge up there, and for that we need another setup, which might or might not work. It also involves a lot of flickering, so apologies for that. But once we're somewhat parallel to the wall, we should be able to exactly go this way. So now we're just going towards the ledge, and once we're above it, I will pop out. Good to go. So we skipped all of that. Like, we're now kind of backtracking, if that makes any sense, because we want to go into the tunnel down here for the next key item eventually. That's good. And that's pretty much all I can say about this so far. Just making our way down the level. This tunnel has some very weird collision, like right in the middle of it. Yeah, like there, for example, I got deflected to the left for no apparent reason. You just have to deal with it on the spot. And also try to not run into walls, but that's a bit more difficult, I guess. And yeah, so in Tomb Raider 2 there's this pretty infamous, very long ladder that you have to climb. Luckily there is a easy corner bug you can do to get to the top of it. Sadly we don't have that luxury here. So this is where you really want to make sure you get this animation and not the one on the side of the ladder, because that would take actually forever. This one, it still takes a long time to climb, but at least at some point you will be done with it. All right. Now we just have to do some more crouching here. Again, crouching, new exciting feature added in Tomb Raider 3. would make its comeback in Tomb Raider 4 and 5 though.
They did improve it though in the next games, in terms of that in this game you always need to crawl back out like backwards. In the next games they've improved it that you can actually just roll forward out of these.
Right. And you can also drop flares while crouching, which makes corner blocks even easier in Tomb Raider 4 and 5. Or like, yeah, you can also embed like on just flat walls, you don't even have to go into corners there anymore, which is very fun, but yeah, we don't have that luxury here. Okay. Also again, gonna freeze here a bit. I should be able to just counter heal the damage I take until I go out of the water, which is nice. There are these two guys chasing me. Hopefully they don't damage me too much, because I have to wait here for a bit while Lara activates the button, so they will catch up. Okay, good. And now we basically have the key items we need, so we now not just need to go to the end of the level, but that involves first getting to a minecart and then riding it, so that might take another while. And another flicker as well. So at the end here, this wall, we will try to get to the top right of it. There is a platform, or there's the mine track. And for that we need to roll into the corner like this. We will slowly, even though it might not look like it, if I pull out the gun we don't get the screen shake, so you can see that we slowly make our way along this wall, and then once we start to lose height we know we're above the platform we can drop down to. So we'll also take a flare to cancel the landing animation. Then we can drop and we're on the rail track, and we can make our way around here and open this with the crowbar, pick up the battery thing or whatever it is, and then we just need to ride the minecart once more. Luckily there is like an upper level track, and that's located right here, so that's a short walk, and this is like the final minecart section, which will bring us to the crane that will then we will activate to open up the hatch to the end of the level. So regarding minecart controls, you can duck, which you actually should do here, because else you will take some nice damage from these pillars and from the drill thingies. You can brake, which is what I had to do earlier on the first minecart ride, because else I would have crashed in the corner. And you can also lean left or right, but it has absolutely no influence on anything, apparently. Like, it's just there. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the minecart. Alright, so here's the crane. That's the wrong item. That's the right item. Put that in. Use the starter here. And down we go. Wait for a final time with the freezing stuff happening. So depending on how well I time it here, I might be able to... Oh, never mind, I already messed it up. Yeah, you can avoid having to save quit an additional time here. Actually, I should still be able to make it maybe. I don't know how many meds I have left. We shall see. Okay, that's one. That should be, yeah, okay. So this should just work out exactly.
Living on the edge.
Optimized.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much the end of the level. This guy ignores us, luckily. This is the button we need to press. And then we're out. And we're into the second to last level. Lost City of Tinnus. This is comparatively very short. Just go in here, turn, roll, flicker, pop out.
I think it does have a pretty risky jump which we need to do, right?
Yeah,
It's
that
still
I
there.
will most definitely save for.
Yeah.
That's a pretty infamous jump.
I can tell a fun story. Back in the days, I don't know how long it was ago, but
I think I know where this is going.
yeah, for single segmented runs back then, saves were not allowed. So the jump that Caddy is about to do, you need to keep in mind that in old runs we were not allowed to save there. And yeah, you'll see when we get there how difficult this actually is.
Yeah, fun times. Luckily I missed them. Back then I was running the TR2 games. TR2, PS2 games. So I was not a classic runner back then.
The PS2 games?
Yeah.
Ah, right, the Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So this is a setup to bypass a trigger on the next tile. So you will see the camera slightly lag behind me there, which means I bypassed the trigger, which is good. And then we're here. And I will be allowed to save,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is good.
Okay.
Why
really
would you
nice.
save there?
Yeah,
So
easy.
Yeah, that's another one where if it works out, it looks like it definitely doesn't look like anything special, but if you're just slightly off to the left or right, you will bonk against the bridge or just straight up not make it, and yeah, obviously fall down and die.
Trust us.
Yeah, it is definitely precise. But yeah, by bypassing that trigger in the corner earlier, now this thing here should not kill me. Exactly, I can just walk through, and then we're to the final boss fight, but not the final. Like, time will not be on this guy dying. Did I? Oh my god, when did I save last time? Well, guess we're not gonna do it. Yeah, there is a setup how you can two-cycle picking this stuff up, but
Oh, okay,
or
right.
three-cycle rather. But I guess now we're just gonna not do that.
Yeah, we should have enough ammo.
Yeah, this is very messy now. I'm not used to this. That's what happens when you try to talk and do setups at the same time. Yeah, so he has a very, like, if he fires his fireball, we're one shot. Luckily, there is a way how you can completely avoid that, and that way is just to save and load. Or you just shoot him while he's not facing you, I guess. Yeah, so as you see, each phase here takes 5 ammo, but again, reminder that's on Japanese with the double damage boost.
Yeah, on the English version we used to go out of the way and pick up extra ammo packs because otherwise it would be impossible to beat this enemy. Or we're actually not even defeating him, it's just that we're stunning him and then we're... Oh, actually, never mind, we actually do?
Yeah.
Forget what I said.
Now we do a final setup, so time is coming up in like a minute or so. Yeah, I want to bring Lara again into like a flicker mode where she's out of bound every second frame. And maybe remember the save I tossed down earlier at the start of Antarctica. Okay, this looks good. Because this will actually be a credits warp. So we will save here.
Okay, that is also new for me.
This is pretty new, yeah. So we will load Antarctica. And now we will swim to a precise tile and load the other save. And there is a 50% chance that the snowflake above us will hit the trigger at the same time as we load into the other level and hit the level end trigger. So maybe it's time now, maybe it's not. We'll see. And it's time. Woo! Thanks. Yeah, and then Lara commits her last few murders, and we save the world, I guess.
And flies away with a helicopter.
Exactly. But interestingly, because of that credit warp, you cannot skip this cutscene.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty strange. Like all the other ones, we can hit escape to just go out of, but this one you have to watch. But yeah, that is Tomb Raider 3. Like what that skip is, I think, roughly 1 minute or so. After the fight, you like climb up and then have to go to the village and
Yeah,
Right
exactly.
now it's like 1 minute or so.
There's another parkour that you do, and then you eventually have to go behind the fence, and then you
Exactly.
would come to this helicopter.
Exactly. Then that would make more sense than what it does right now.
But the end.
Yeah, exactly. The end. Yeah, so apparently you also can't skip this, so I have to wait this out, but it's like 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then we can finally lock Winston where he belongs.
Exactly.
And then I would be done. I think next up we have Dirt by Sui, so stick around for that. Already want to say thank you, Kaimon, for the
Of course, it was a
co-commentary.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I was actually, as I said earlier, before we met here, I was very reliant on you, hoping you could explain the story, and then 5 minutes before the run we figured out we both never played this game casually, so
It's fine.
that worked out just fine.
It's like a Mario game. The story is
Self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now we should get the results screen, which has like, oh, never mind, we're out, I guess.
1 hour 5 in game. Oh,
Somehow we're no longer on screen, but
Okay.
that's okay, because, oh, never mind, we're back on screen. Hello.
hello again.
Hello for an extra run. Yeah, so we met the donation incentive to do the one thing that everyone wants us to do.
And Japanese voices.
And Japanese voice. And in Tomb Raider 3 you already start inside the mansion, which gives us a big advantage, because in Tomb Raider 2 you start outside and you have to like first make your way inside the mansion or manor, sorry, and open everything up. Also open the shortcut back there, so Winston has a shorter route. But in this game, you're basically right next to the freezer. You open it, you wait for him, and then we should be good to go. However, he is rather old, so he does take a while. Also, sadly, in Tomb Raider 3, they no longer have the sound effect for the cups and the cutlery on his tablets.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They don't?
you can no longer hear it.
Oh, right. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah. Instead, they added a farting sound effect to him, which makes sense. I think that's a good compensation. Yeah, and then you lock him in the freezer, and then you win. Woo! And that's what Sphere paid for. Yeah, thank you very much, Heck, for having me. We'll be back later tomorrow, I think, with Hanky. But yeah, that's it for me now. Next up is Sui, and thank you guys for having me.